So here we're being asked to apply bed mass. So we're going to do brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So in this one here, we're going to keep the numerators separate. The numerator and the denominator can be kept separate. We can kind of imagine these as in their own brackets like that. Okay, we're not going to draw those in though. So I need to keep track of what's happening on the top and what's happening on the bottom. So I end up with 2 plus, I'm going to do the brackets inside first, 2 minus, oops, I missed that. It should be 2 plus 4, so we're not going to do the add first. We're going to do inside the brackets, minus 3 squared, which is 9. On the bottom, it's negative 3 minus 4. Again, we're not going to do that. We're going to wait till we finish the times. I end up with 5 minus 9, which is 4 squared. So I finished the inside of the brackets and the denominator. Okay, and again, we want to show steps. So 2 plus 4, and this becomes 2 minus 9 is 7. In the denominator, I have negative 3 minus 4, and negative 4 squared is 16. So again, as I work vertically, I can see the different parts changing. Here I'm going to do the times first. Here again, I'm going to do the times first before I do the subtraction. 4 times 16 is 64. So that's something that you just make note of. We don't do this and this first. We have to do the multiplication before we do the addition there. Okay, so I'm just going to move over here. 2 plus negative 28 gives me negative 26 in the numerator. 3 minus 64 gives me negative 67 in the denominator. They don't share any common factors except for the negatives, but we should work out that negative and we get a final answer of 26 over 67. So same thing here. Do the brackets first. Inside the brackets, we're going to do the multiplication first. Here we're going to square this 3 before we do the subtraction, so we can do it in this step. However, make sure that you're clear. This is only squaring the 3. So this is going to end up being the square of 3, and the negative is applied outside of that. So make a note of that, please. That's different than if I were to do negative 3 squared. That's equal to positive 9. Negative 3 squared is equal to negative 9. Okay, so that out of the way, we'll finish the rest of this. Minus, I'm going to do times inside the brackets first, and then I'll do the subtraction after. So we end up with 4 times 3 minus 10 is negative 7. We're going to do the multiplication, or sorry, the brackets first. And so we get that. So on top, we end up with negative 28. On the bottom, negative 9 minus. So I'm starting with a negative. I'm going more negative. So I end up with negative 40. Okay, so I've got a negative 1 factor that's going to cancel. I've got a 4 that's going to cancel. So I've got my negative 1 factor times 4 times 10. Okay, so I can see that the negatives cancel out, the 4s cancel out. So my simplified answer is going to be 7 over 10. For here, we're going to multiply out and combine like terms. Here's where we need to distribute, because we cannot do the brackets first in this case. We cannot do the subtraction because they're counting different things. So in this situation, we're going to distribute that multiplier. So we have 3 groups of 2a. That means we're counting up 6 a's. I'm subtracting 3 groups of 5, so I'm subtracting 15 in total. Here, when I multiply this out, we have to be careful with that negative in front of the multiplier. It's always a good idea to multiply with that negative. So I'm going to end up with minus 18a squared. Numbers times numbers, letters times letters. Negative times negative is going to give me plus. So it's going to give me 5 groups of 6a, which is 30a. I want to just combine like terms if I have them. Negative 18a squared. A squareds are different than a's, so I have to count the a's separately. So I have 6 plus 30a's, and then the 1's are counted separately as well. These all have to be counted separately because they're all different terms. So for the next one, same thing. I'm going to take that multiplier, I'm going to distribute it, and then I'm going to combine like terms after, if I have any. When I multiply these expressions, it's numbers times numbers, a's times a's, b's times b's. Minus numbers times numbers, and then there's no variables, so I'm just left with an a squared. And then we have the plus 6a squared, which we have to keep track of. And we can see that we do have like terms. So this simplifies to 6a cubed b squared minus negative 15 plus 6 is going to give us negative 9a squared. We have to remember that's a negative 15 and not a 15. So there's my final answer.